We have three millionaire contests for the Open Championship right now in the DK lobby. Our featured contest is the 2.5 million fantasy golf millionaire, which of course pays out $1 million to first place for just a $10 entry. All three of these contests not only have that $1 million top prize, but the winner also earns a seat to our DraftKings Tournament of Champions live final taking place in January. That's another shot at $1 million. So go check out those contests in the lobby right now while these guys will now help you fill out those lineups. So let's get to it. Geoff, who is your pick in the 10K plus range?
Yeah, no, for me, Jessie, this week, it really does kind of come down to two players, above 10K. And it's Xander Schauffele and it's Brooks Koepka. You look at the record of these two players in the Open Championships. And I'm not just talking about like the Open, the British Open that we're getting this week, but also the US Open. They just excel at these majors. And, Schauffele, obviously T2 here in 2018. But, you look what he's done over his last couple events. I'm going to side with him. He's $700 cheaper than Brooks Koepka. He's gained over 5 strokes on approach in his last 2 PGA starts. He played in Scotland last week, which I really like. I think this is kind of a player that's peaking at the right time. We know he can get hot with the putter. And like I said, he's got some pretty high-end, Open Championship experience. I think you take the savings with Schauffele above 10K. He makes for a good starting point, especially if you want to go balanced. I'm going to make my 10K plus golfer.
All right, Reid, where are you going?
Yeah, Xander's record in these majors is fantastic, but it's not better than Brooks. And I'm not going to I know Geoff likes Brooks too, so I'm not going to argue him on that he's taking Xander because I think Xander's actually valued nicely both in the betting and in the DFS side finally. Right. But Brooks, in his last 11 majors, Jessie, he's got 4 wins, 3 runner-up finishes, and since 2017, he has 11 top 10 finishes in these majors. We know already. We know what he does here. He says he doesn't even like the course, right? That's what he said. He doesn't even like the course, but still all the confidence is with Brooks. He's getting all these questions about Bryson and the Ryder Cup and so on and so forth. It's just funny. It's fodder for him. It's just Brooks at a major. You don't really need to make it that difficult.
Okay. Well, Reid, how about the 9K range? Maybe this will be a little more difficult. Who do you like?
Yeah, I'm going to keep Louis. I always reserve the Louis talk for Geoff. I don't want to take his steam there because I do think that Louis is great. And look, there's game theory to it in terms of if you want to play Bryson. I don't think that I will, but I understand that if you want to. But Viktor Hovland is the guy that, if we're talking about game theory, GPPs, if we want to win one of those $1 million contests, you're going to need someone like a Viktor Hovland who doesn't have a ton of Open experience, just won, as a matter of fact, overseas coming into this tournament. And look, he's a young player, right? Experience is what you want at the Open Championship. And he doesn't have a lot of it, but he's one of the best ball strikers on tour right now. And he's playing some of the best golf, kind of harkening back to what he was doing tee to green back, I believe it was early in the, right after we came back from the shutdown. He was one of the best golfers tee to green out there. So if I'm choosing a guy in that $9,000 range, and it's not Geoff's boy in Louis Oosthuizen, it's going to be Viktor Hovland for me.
All right, Geoff, talk about Louis.
Yeah, well, look, this 9K range is loaded. There's a million ways you can go. Usti is definitely a player I'm going to be heavily considering and probably using at some point this week. I'm just going to take the easy button here, though, and it's Justin Thomas at 9,600. Look, Justin Thomas is, a top 5 player in the world. This guy has perhaps maybe the best win rate of any of the top players, maybe outside of Dustin Johnson, although he's probably about equal with Dustin Johnson. This guy won the Players, the 5th biggest event in the world back in March. And now he's 9,600. He's cheaper than Jordan Spieth. He's cheaper than Bryson, whose career best finish in an Open is T51 and isn't playing that good. He's cheaper than Xander, who hasn't won in 2 years. This is a disrespectful price to Justin Thomas. This guy finished T8 last week at the Scottish Open. He was T11 at the Open in 2019. He's committed to trying to be a good links player, and it's starting to pay off for him. And now he's way too cheap at under 10K. I think you have to play Justin Thomas at this price. And I know a lot of people want to play Spieth. I do like Jordan Spieth. He's a great Open player. Justin Thomas is a better player than Jordan Spieth at this point in their careers. I don't think there's much doubting that if you're asking me. And I think that he's just too cheap in this range. So Louis, I like the Viktor Hovland call, especially for GPPs. I think he'll be lighter owned than people think. But for me, the play in the 9K range is Justin Thomas.
All right, how about the play in the 8K range, Geoff? Who are you going to be going with here?
Yeah, this one is, I mean, there's two players I got my eye on. The first is Webb Simpson, just because he's too cheap at 8,300. But the player I really like is Patrick Cantley. Again, he's like the 8K version of Justin Thomas. Why is Patrick Cantley under 9K when you've got guys like Hovland and Hatton, and, you know, especially guys like Hatton and even Louis over 9K? I mean, Patrick Cantley won at the Memorial, you know, basically a month ago. He's put in really solid performances at the last two majors. So the player's trending very well. He's an all-around player as well. You look at some of his coastal performances on like little par 70s, like the RBC Heritage and Valspar and things like that. They're really solid. I think Patrick Cantley could end up being just like the value play of this tournament at under 9K. And again, I like Webb Simpson. He's super cheap, but the form advantage goes heavily to Cantley here. And that's the player I think you got to play in the 8K range.
Reid, what do you think?
Yeah, but Justin Thomas, like going back to that one, Geoff, didn't you see him top the ball on social media at the Scott? Yeah. Oh no. No, I love that JT call. He's severely underpriced, and that's where that's usually when you get the GPP lineups to hit is when you get these really good guys that are underpriced. Paul Casey is my favorite, but I do think he's going to be heavily rostered in this range. You know, win earlier this season, he's played well in back-to-back majors, and I actually can't take credit for this call. It's Rick Gaiman at Rick Rungood. He put me on to Scotty Scheffler, and I think that's a fantastic call with GPPs. If you're taking a look, again, really focusing on these millionaire makers, you're going to have unique lineups. Not every single golfer needs to be unique, but sort of akin to your Webb Simpson call, Geoff. I've played Webb in the last couple of majors, and he's burned me. So I got some PTSD with that. But with Scotty Scheffler, take a look at what he's done as well, not just in terms of the majors, but overseas. Like, he's also a guy young that you don't think should do well on this type of course, but growing up in Texas could be, used to the windy conditions, a la Jordan Spieth and a lot of other guys. And so I do like a Scotty Scheffler. And this 8K range is really tough. Like, to take a move from Geoff Ulrich's repertoire of mentioning a ton of guys in this range. I also like Tommy Fleetwood. Like Fleetwood, his game and temperament sets up well for the Open Championship. So there's going to be some decisions to make in the 8K range. It's my favorite by far in this tournament.
All right, what about the 7K range, Reid? May not be your favorite, but where are you going?
Yeah, I think there's a handful of guys. I think Daniel Berger is severely underpriced at $7,400, but welcome the 20% plus roster percentage for a guy like Berger because he's just way underpriced. I'm actually going Sergio Garcia. I do really like Sergio Garcia. His Open Championship experience and his success is vast. Like, he's got 20 or so Open Championships under his belt. We almost before he won the Masters saw him win the Open Championship. He just missed a ton of putts and he couldn't make it down the stretch. But he's someone that I really like. And if we're going low in that low $7,000 range, I like Brandon Grace. And I don't think I'm alone in that. Great coastal course player. Fantastic when it comes to the majors and recent form. And remember a 62 that he shot. And I forget what year it was, Geoff, so hopefully you can help me there. He shot a 62 on Saturday in the Open Championship. Anybody who shoots a 62 in a major tournament and then also in the Open Championship is going to get my attention. So those are a couple of guys I like.
All right, Geoff, what do you think?
I think that was 2017 that he did that, but I'm not 100% sure. I really like Mark Leishman in this range. It's a pretty simple one for me. I think Mark Leishman at 7,700 is a player who it's kind of like Grace. He's a very good Open Championship player. He's got 8 Open Championship appearances. Now he's got a few missed cuts in there as well, but he's also got 3 finishes of T6 or better. Playoff loss here in 2015, not at this venue, but at the Open Championship at St. Andrews. Leishman's been a little bit up or down, but he's coming in with a lot of confidence. Coming off a T3 at the Travelers, really likes the way his game was at. His off the tee game there was really good too. This is a player who, once he gets confidence, you can just see it vibrating through the rest of his game. The putter gets hot. The tee shots stay straight. I think Mark Leishman, this is the perfect style of event for him as well. We have a shorter course where, if you get hot with the irons and with the putter, which is what Mark Leishman can do, you can really take advantage here and perhaps just jump out and on this field because this course is quirky. It's going to set off a lot of the top players. And I think a player in this range, like a Leishman, is what we're going to see win this event finally. So love Mark Leishman, love him from the outright betting, but I really like him at 7,700. That's where I want to go first in this range. All
right, real quick, guys, on this last one, who are you looking at under 7K, Geoff?
Yeah, I'm looking at Kevin Kisner at 6,900. It's another player who's got a good Open Championship record, T2 2018, good on approaches and putting. He's really played well his last 2 starts, top 10s. These games coming around. Love Kisner this week.
Reid under 7K.
Yeah, that was going to be my pick. So I'll go Justin Harding, $6,500. South African. Like I'm on the South African train here, Geoff. Good worldwide starts over his last handful, and he's shown up on these big stages.
So you like Ernie Els too, then?
I love Ernie Els this week. And why is Charles playing? Is he in this tournament? Because if he is, I'm just going to have an entire South African RSA all the way.